Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids and welcome to the Raid Shadow Legends test server. Thanks to Plarium, as always, for letting us on as part of the content creator program. But today, we've got a big question to answer. There's been so much discussion, so many questions in the community about this new fusion champion, Razelvarg, a legendary attack magic affinity champion for the Skinwalker faction, the crazy Easter bunny of doom and death. But is he any good, right? Wacky passive, where he puts out increased speed and then boosts his own speed up to 100, right? Giving increased speed, increased accuracy to the team, an AoE attack with Leech that heals himself, a triple hitter A1, a 20% speed in all battles aura, and very intriguingly as well, an attack and speed scaling on every single one of his abilities. Is he any good though? Why does it actually come together? All right, guys, then for the damage comparison, I thought I had this done already, prepared already, but apparently I forgot. So we're recording it here at the end. Also, the sun came out, which is kind of funny during the video. I'm recording this at the end of the video. I'm going to edit it back in so you can sort of see the sun slowly emerge over the course of the video, which I think will be funny. But Ethos is my typical AoE campaign farm nuker. I'm very strongly considering building up Supreme Alhain and using her instead, very strongly. But he's coming in with 7k attack, 265% crit damage, good speed as well. These are his masteries. Let's go in and let us see how hard Ethos hits. We're going to hit stage 10 of Dragon Hard just to see its Void Affinity. And these are going to be tough, tanky enemies. So let's go in and we're going to compare Razelvarg to him. So we'll hit, let's hit Venus as an example. A1, about 60k damage, right? I think it was 61k. He's running on the spot. That's very strange. We're going for a jog. Uh-oh. Maybe the test server has crashed. That's not good. There we are. 61k damage, right? Yeah, 61k on that. Let's go again. Ethos can go for another jog if he's lucky. Let's go in with his A2. Let's compare these damage stats. So here we go. His A2. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. They're the health bars right there. A2 did about 269. 269k. And then if we go in with his A3 finally. Go. So his A3 should be the biggest hit. Obviously, War Master procs can affect things as well. 275. Okay, so 275. Okay, so those are the Ethos multipliers. Let's switch that gear over to Razelvarg. Now, Razelvarg's not 2-star awakened, but it will still give us a good idea for what to expect. Okay, so gear switch over to Razelvarg. We're a bit short on the attack. He obviously has lower attack than Ethos, I'm pretty sure, actually. Didn't double check. I think Ethos is more like 1600 or so. And we don't have the blessing, so he's a little bit lower there, but almost the same, as close as I could get, and the same masteries. Let's see how hard Razelvarg hits. Let's go give him a go. Oh, excellent. Got my daily quest complete. Fantastic. Multitasking, but it's on the test server, so it doesn't count. Right, let's go in. Let's see how this crazy bunny is going to do. So first of all, we have the A1. We're going to hit Venus. Triple hitter on the A1. We're going in and we are doing 28k damage. Uh-oh. Razzle Dazzle ain't looking so hot right now, is he? A1, 28k. Uh-oh. Go in again. Let's go in again. Here you go. What about his A2? For plunk, like about 27 to 30k on everyone. 157k. Ooh, A2, 157k. What about the A3? Can this redeem? He is currently significantly behind Ethos, to say the least, to put it bluntly. A3, now obviously all of his damage scales on speed. This is giving him increased speed before attacking, so it should be the hardest hitting move. And boom, there we go. There were some bigger hits right there. Some Helm Smasher procs as well. 220k. Okay, so a little bit better. 220k. But all things considered, we compare him to Ethos as that AoE nuker. Yeah, Razelvarg, he's definitely not on the level. With it, the increased speed buff certainly seems to help. It does seem to help and push him up a bit higher, which would obviously up the damage of these other moves as well. In fact, let's go in and let's see him. Let's go in and let's actually see him here. So if we, first of all, we do the increased speed. Cool. And hopefully we outspeed these guys. Yes, we do. So is A2 this time. Let's see. Yeah, it's hitting for like 35 to 40k. So that's hitting for, it's going to be more like 200k, right? So it is going to be a bit of a boost. It's going to be a bit of a boost. But on the whole, still going to be reasonably underwhelming. So like if we take 220k off of this, yeah, he's hitting for about what 195k then I think. So yeah, like it's okay but not amazing. So yeah, in terms of damage, Razelvarg, he does decent damage, but like if Ethos is like your sort of typical good nuker, he's definitely a pretty big step below that, a noticeable step. He's not an arena nuker. He's not a big nuker like Supreme Alhain was, big damage. This is a champion that's more about the utility that they bring and sort of the effects on their ability. All right, well, if we're not building him as a regular nuker, well, how do we build him? Where is he going to be good? And for me, the area where he is clearly going to shine, and I've got a couple of different test runs to show you, which will show this off, is in the Hydra. And what I'm thinking in particular is this champion, good speed aura, and he's going to be good in the lead, boosted by a Shamail if we want to do that. I've got one comp that does and one comp that doesn't use Shamail. He's going to get a ton of speed. He has 2 AoE attacks on 3 turn cooldowns. He's going to be very fast, taking a lot of turns. What is going to work well if we take a lot of turns? The provoke set is going to work well, because every time he takes a turn, he's got that 30% chance to provoke. So if we get him into this set and we get him running fast, he is actually going to be a very good provoker for locking down the Head of Decay and stopping those cleanses, which is absolutely huge. So that is how we're going to build him. And here's the stats. We're not really building him for damage, though we have picked up a bit of damage along the way. So the first thing you'll probably notice, I've really stacked up the speed. We are trying to get him going as fast as possible in this provoke set. Do as many AoEs as we can, get out as many provokes as we can, and especially because he's going to be healing himself with this A2, and he's going to be healing himself with War Master procs from this leech as well. He should be very survivable, actually, going in the lead and going this fast. He's going to outrun defensive buffs, but it doesn't even matter because he's going to keep himself alive. 54k HP, about 2.6k defense. And you can see I've got a little bit of crit rate, 69%. Nice. A bit of crit damage here. We've got a bit of attack as well. Actually, a decent chunk of attack with 4.3, considering we're not building for it. And then only 240 accuracy. Because remember, he is going to be giving himself increased accuracy before he tries to place the leech. We do want to land this leech, right? You could, I guess, even dismiss it. But I think the leech is worth having. But yeah, because he's always going to have increased accuracy on the turn before he does leech, he doesn't need accuracy for his A1. He's good. You can build him with really low accuracy, and it's going to be just fine. So there you go. Fairly straightforward build. Not overly focused on damage. We're building survivability. The big focus being on speed, speed, speed. And for the masteries, again, it should be no surprise here for Hydra. We're coming in with War Master. Speed, speed, speed. Taking as many turns as possible. War Master is going to scale really well with that. Really, really well with that. And we're going to come down this left-hand side. Basically, all the way down the left-hand side. There's nothing too good for him here, honestly, except for War Master. Then we're going into the support tree. You'll pick up some more accuracy. There's no point in getting him charged focus because he opens with a skill that has no debuffs, so it doesn't really matter. I am going to get him more turn meter when his debuffs expire. I am going to get him more turn meter when his buffs expire. We're going to give him Lore of Steel for more speed. Master Hexer to extend the leech. I guess why not? And we're going to get him Lasting Gifts to extend his buffs, right? Extend that increased speed, increase accuracy to keep them up as much as possible. And that is how I think that you should build him. So if I quickly show you the gear as well, so you can see I'm looking for lots of rolls of speed, like triple speed here. It's a ton of speed, double speed. Got double speed HP % gloves for survivability, HP % chest with double speed. Speed boots, of course, if you have those ascended with an extra 12 speed at 6-star, that's going to be nuts for him. I think I have him in an attack ring with HP and attack %. Sure, why not? Crit damage neck and attack banner, just because it has a ridiculous amount of speed. But you're very flexible with these accessories, honestly. Like if you're lacking in defensive chest and gloves, put him in defensive accessories. It's all good. Might even be better. Because his defensive bases are only okay, you know? So it's really flexible. It's up to you. But generally speaking, this is what I've tried, and this is what I've liked. So jumping across into Hydra then, what I want to compare him to was this run I did just last week, right? In rotation 6 of Hydra, with Turvold in the team, right? This is my brutal team that I'm using actually right now on the live account, right? With Turvold and with Nekmothar. I think Nekmothar is the closest comparison to Razelvarg that we have, right? Nekmothar coming in with increased speed. He has AoE decrease speed leech. Now, he also has AoE decrease attack. They have a very similar speed aura. So it was that big question for me of, okay, we're still getting the increased speed, but we're trading in the turn meter, we're trading in a decreased speed, and we're trading in an AoE A1 decrease attack. We're trading all those things for basically just increased accuracy for Razelvarg and extra speed for Razelvarg. Nekmothar is going to get some turn meter here, but it's not going to compare to the speed boost that Razelvarg himself is going to get from his passive. So is it really enough? I mean, initial impressions definitely feel like you're giving up a lot for this, right? You're giving up a lot compared to old Nekmo. Will it be enough? And that's what we're going to compare straight up first of all. So this is key. I obviously canceled this one as soon as we got the 1 key here on Brutal. It did much more the first time we did the full run. So the full run, it did like 116 million, okay? So it's done... I cancelled it early, so we've got a good point of comparison. But you can see here the stats. Let's jump in and let's watch a bit of this run here. I've sped it up as well. We're not going to watch the absolute whole thing. We've jumped in a little bit into the run. One problem with me trying to compare this, by the way, if I jump over to game, we're not on rotation 6. We're actually on the worst rotation on the test server. It is shockingly bad, guys. We're actually in rotation 3, which for Razelvarg sucks. I mean, for this particular team sucks, because this particular team, we've got Hex from Mithrala, we've got crazy single target damage with the Lanicus ally attack and with Turvold, and especially with Inquisitor Shamail in there as well. So the two heads that we want to see are Head of Torment, right? And the Head of Mischief. They're actually our two favorite heads. We kill Head of Mischief so quickly with Hex, it's no problem. And Head of Torment is turn meter boost for us. Neither of those heads are in the starting rotation and rotation 3. So it's a little difficult for me to do that super direct comparison. But it's enough for us to get a vibe. So we can sort of see this run. And you'll notice that we're a good bit into this run already. And obviously, at this point, Razelvarg has really built up his turn meter. And now on top of that, obviously, we're going to be getting boosted from this Head of Torment here as well. But you can just see Razelvarg's turn meter is flying up like poor Ugo right there. Just was waiting at full turn meter to take a turn. And Razelvarg is like, all right, let me just lap you real fast. No problem. Let me just get around this. But yeah, the idea of how this team works, as you can see, like, look at this. He's almost lapped Ugo again, which is hilarious. So when he gets going, he kind of gets going. I'm curious what you predict this sort of team is going to do. Again, we're not going to watch the whole run. I'll show you some of it, though. But yeah, I explained the basis of this team. If you want to see the gearing on the other champions, check out that Turvold video on the channel if you want to see what's going on. But we've got like Lanicus in to extend our buffs, give us ally attack, and she is a mischief tank as well. We've got Mithrala giving us tons of defensive buffs, and also that Hex offensively. We've got Turvold and Shamail with single target damage, and particularly Turvold with the single target damage. One really cool thing, actually, you can see I'm running Heavencast on Turvold, right? It's a blessing, which lets you ignore a bit of the target's resistance, and it also gives offensive stats. So it's perfect for Turvold, for Hydra. It's very difficult to get accuracy on Turvold. Well, the great thing about Razelvarg, he gives increased accuracy, so he actually makes Turvold super consistent at landing Weaken, which is just fantastic. So we've got Weaken from Turvold actually now very consistently in that single target, and it's a single target focused team. And then we've got Ugo bringing the decreased defense for us, as well as the block buffs and so on. So the stuff combos really well. One slight downside with Razelvarg is obviously the A1 isn't AoE, but its other two abilities are. So you might want to do a little bit of manual and try to be targeting down at the Head of Decay, just to make sure that you're super consistent. To be honest, once the Head of Torment is out and you're getting the turn meter boost from Shamail, it's already very consistent anyway. So at that point, I would not really worry. But yeah, you can see this bunny. He's certainly hopping mad. He's taking a lot of turns. He is zipping around, flying around, kind of no problem. There's always that element of randomness when it comes in. There's always a big random element of randomness. You can hit them 10 times and provoke set just won't work. It's only 30% chance. You can just get super unlucky. You can have runs where you're very lucky. So that can add a lot of... yeah, you can add some RNG to the run. So you might need to restart a few times. Like you might need to land provoke on the first turn. But you can see the team is slamming through. We're about to hit that 1 key. One big thing about this particular team comp right here, if you're thinking about using this one, it's very dangerous. Why? Well, because with Nekmothar in there, we have decreased speed, which makes things so much easier. So much easier. We do not have decreased speed in this comp. And we do not have decreased attack either. So the Head of Wrath, speaking of, I didn't actually realize he was going to pop up. I was going to be skimming through the video to find where he shows up. But the Head of Wrath can absolutely blitz your team. He will rip you a new one effectively. It's pretty rough. So yeah, this particular team, this exact team, I just wanted to put in Razelvarg to compare him directly to Nekmothar in the same team. But what you'd really be doing is what we're going to be doing in the second part here, which is trying to build a team specifically around Razelvarg. Because while he does a lot of the same things that Nekmo does, being a great lead champion, being a great provoke set champion, being a great increased speed champ, he's missing out on those things that Nekmo does bring. But yeah, we'll see what the benefits are. So there we go. We can see we've got the 300. We've got the 30 million there, which is the one key. Let me see. Will we see any of Wrath smacking us? Like maybe a little bit. Like right here, we're quite weak. We're getting beat up. So definitely in these runs, I did a few runs of this, and you can definitely die, right? You can get a bad overlap, and this team will just die. Like you can see Turvold here is almost dead, right? We're going to get smacked around by these heads, especially in a lineup like this where you've got Wrath and Blight out at the same time. Like we just sort of get overrun from damage. Because we need to take turns to heal up from Leech, but we don't have decreased speed, so these heads can sort of get ahead of us a little bit. And yeah, we just don't have a decreased attack, and especially in this scenario where increased attack goes out. Now in this case, we'll actually kill him. Inquisitor Shemel with increased accuracy can strip that increased attack off like a little bit, but with his A1, but it's inconsistent. Let's see how he did. If we skip on ahead to the end, here we go. And I think interesting stuff happening here. So, this particular run, we did 43 million. So we wiped, right? We did wipe. We weren't able to keep control like we did in the Nekmothar team. And admittedly, we start the run off pretty badly. We lose out on a lot of damage for free because it's such a bad starting rotation for us. But as you can see, in this particular run, Razelvarg, while he's not bringing the control of Nekmothar, he doesn't have the utility. What really interested me is that his damage actually is very, very high. So if we compare it to the example run over here, and what I've actually done to make it simple is, here we go. Let me actually shrink this down. I just reduced I reduced the sample run, right? So this one I actually went all the way. We finished the run. We did 43 million. So I divided by 4 and I multiplied by 3 to give us, broadly speaking, around about a 30 million marker. And here's how it comes out, right? If we compare the two, so Razelvarg with 6.6, Turvold with 12, Mithrala 7.8, Lanicus with 1, Ugo at 1.2, and Shemel with 3. So straight up, one of the big things that's certainly happening is that without Head of Torment as a starting head, Shemel is doing less damage, and therefore the whole team is going to be doing less damage. But what's very interesting is that if you look at that proportion of damage, Razelvarg to Turvold, he's doing about half of what Turvold is doing, and that is, once again, without being boosted by Shemel half as much as Nekmothar was. Nekmo is doing way less damage proportionately, way less. And the other interesting thing is that Razelvarg, putting out that extra damage, mostly from AoE War Master hits, he's taking so many turns, is also overall, proportionately, upping Mithrala's damage. That's the Hex duplicating War Master. So I thought this was a really interesting thing. You can see that the team as a whole is doing worse, but Razelvarg himself, he's bringing a lot of damage, a surprising amount of damage, and he's also doing, again, a surprising amount of damage, which is then duplicated through the Hex, which I think is pretty fun. That's pretty funky. Okay, so I hear you saying, nubkeks, right, that was a cool run. That was intriguing. I'm intrigued by Razelvarg, but in that particular run, you just showed us he was clearly worse than Nekmothar, right? And that's fair enough, because the team was designed around Nekmothar, not around Razelvarg. What if we built a Razelvarg team from scratch? What would we do? And so that's what we're doing in this particular team. So this is team 2. And for this one, what I wanted to do was to build a relatively budget team for hard difficulty Hydra and to see how it goes. So what do we have? Once again, we've got Razelvarg in the lead, giving us a speed aura, giving us increased speed, and in that provoke set. What are we doing for decreased speed? We are bringing in on the far right Vizix. An absolutely criminally underrated login champion. She is just fantastic, so good. Just in general in the game, she's amazing. Like Nightmare Campaign farmer. She'd probably be early game a pretty decent arena champion. Amazing Doom Tower champion, faction war carry, and amazing for Hydra. She brings us AoE decreased speed. She brings us AoE ally protection, both of those on the same move. She also brings us a backup provoke. There she goes. Look at that. Landing the backup provoke right before that head takes a turn. So she is going to supplement the provoke set from Razelvarg and just make us more consistent in locking down decay, which is going to be important in this team because we're not bringing in Inquisitor Shamael. So Razelvarg is not going to be getting boosted up by Shamael and by that Head of Torment when he shows up, right? So there we go. We've got the hardest champion in here to acquire is obviously Mithrala, but she is a guaranteed champion that you get from doing Hydra. So if you haven't got Mithrala yet, this is not going to exactly help you, to be fair. But Mithrala is basically in for defensive buffs. She also brings the increased attack for Rhonda to make Rhonda do more damage. But you could try a few different things if you wanted. But yeah, that's sort of what's going on there. She's the difficult one to achieve, but when you see the score at the end, I think the idea is that this could be a basis for a team to actually push you up into Brutal. Wait until you see the score that we get and the performance out of these champions. It's actually very impressive. So yeah, what was I saying? All right, let's dive in. Rhonda, let's talk about Rhonda. So I was saying, right, what damage dealer we bring in? Well, most players at the moment have Rhonda, right? She's the most recent login legendary champion, the promotion champion. And look at her going in there and just blitzing damage into that head. What Rhonda does is huge single target damage. And I thought there's a very cool combo here. What is Razelvarg doing? He's taking way more turns and he attacks every turn. He is attacking way more than anyone else, right? He's going crazy with the turns. What happens with Rhonda? Every time an ally attacks, she has a chance to join in on that attack. That's pretty good. Okay, we've got a cool combo there. Razelvarg takes lots of turns and can proc that Rhonda move. And all that Rhonda single target damage going into these decapitated heads, especially with Mithrala with Hex, you could use like a Thylesia, you could use an Epic if you wanted. It's going to be duplicating that single target damage at 10% effectiveness to everything else with Hex. So we've got a really good combo going on right there between those champions. And to go along with those sort of core champions and that really cool combo we built up, the increased speed, decreased speed with the Rhonda, with the Mithrala, we also have got Ugo. She's coming in and giving us a decreased defense weaken, which, she's giving us decreased defense and block buffs, which are two things we don't have in here already. And then we also have Rector Drath coming in, who's going to give us that perfect veil, which is going to make us be able to deal with the fear head, the Head of Torment. Now, unfortunately, I haven't actually re-geared my Rector Drath properly yet. I just don't have the silver at the moment. I could have done it on the test server. I decided not to. But I haven't re-geared my Rector Drath into Reflex, which would really up the consistency of Perfect Veil. So that's not something we have with this team. So we are going to have like gaps in Perfect Veil, right? But nonetheless, it's going to be pretty damn effective. One thing that Rector Drath also brings, which you might notice, because I mentioned it with Nekmothar, we don't have AoE decrease attack with this team. But Rector Drath does have decrease attack on her A1. This is not a champion that you're typically building with much accuracy, if any at all. However, our friend, the Hoppin' Mad Rabbit, is bringing us a very consistent increase accuracy with his A3, and that can enable us to start landing that decrease attack with Rector Drath. You might have spotted at the start of the video that I actually turned it off auto for a second to land decrease attack with Rector Drath, or to attempt to, onto the Head of Wrath, which is the only head you really care about, to be honest. But I realized actually with this team, between Mithrala and the ally protection from Vizix, there's really no point. Like, we actually don't need, on hard difficulty, we actually don't need that decrease attack. I would say if you're going into Brutal, it'd probably be a good idea to play it safe. It would be. And use the decrease attack from Rector, which is pretty cool. Another slight weakness of this team that I did spot as I was going through is that my Rhonda is not super quick. So, yeah, Rhonda is actually getting her buff stolen a lot by the Head of Mischief. That's something you might want to do, is actually up the speed of Rhonda and lower her damage a little bit. Just have her be very, very quick. Like, more similar to the speed of these other champions. And she'd get away with that a lot more. But yeah, I thought this team, look at that, we're approaching that 1 key damage in about 8 minutes, basically full auto, ripping through this Hydra right here, pretty much no problem. Yeah, honestly, I was loving this team. Like Rhonda, she's just going beast mode on these champs, and we just have some really good combos in here with, I think, overall very, very accessible champions for the most part. Certainly, you have to play for 9 months to get Physics. If you've got Physics, you've got Rhonda. Pretty much, Rector Drath is very commonly given to new players as a promo code, and she's like a must-build epic. Same with Ugo, really, for Hydra. But yeah, I thought this was a good one. Let's see what the sort of score is at the end. As you can see, probably from this this run, the run keeps on going, the score keeps on climbing, and what do you know? We get to the end with a very respectable 77 million damage here on hard. The run went for 32 minutes, guys. 32 minutes. I do think that this team has good potential for Brutal Hydra. It does have good potential as a pretty darn accessible team, and I think that's pretty exciting. So yeah, the combo I'm really in love with is Razelvarg plus Physics. I think this is such a good combo. The two of them pair together to bring you great coverage of Provoke, increase speed, decrease speed, ally protection, leech. It's a lot of survivability. It's good control. They are a very good, very, very budget combo for players that are playing long enough to get Physics and long enough to be able to complete a fusion. Then the Rhonda Mithrala. But yeah, look at this damage, guys. 18.8 million damage from Razelvarg. Compared to Rhonda, like, when I was watching this run and watching Rhonda getting all of those punches off and decapitated heads, I was thinking, surely she's going to be a mile ahead. Razelvarg, though, is really doing very respectable damage, and he is not being boosted by an Inquisitor Shamael. This is all him. It's all him. So very respectable damage, whilst also bringing us Provoke and bringing us that increased speed, the leech, the increased accuracy for the team. I'm very impressed with him. As an accessible Hydra champion, I think he's a pretty big deal. To be brutally honest, the main thing you need that's tough is to have good speed Provoke gear, which is kind of tough to get. That just takes time and a bit of luck, and it's really, there's no replacement for it, right? You need 4 pieces of Provoke gear on him, is the big downside. But there you go, Mithrala with the Hex, again, doing a lot of damage right there. I was really happy with this team. I thought it was super cool. So if I show you the gear on these different champions, Mithrala is coming in. She's in Stone Skin for Arena. So she is in an Arena build. You don't need this level of stats. Obviously, for it, it's really overkill. And again, Arena Masteries for her. We had Rhonda. She's coming in with Giant Slayer. And she does have Methodical as well. So it's a bit of a mix between, she's going to still be pretty good for Arena. With Arena, Helm Smasher is better. But look, Giant Slayer will still work for you. You'll still be okay for the most part. But it's Beast Mode for Hydra. Adds a lot of damage. And she's coming in with 5.8k attack, 183 speed, 247% crit damage. Obviously 100% crit rate. So yeah, I do think with this build, probably dropping the damage a bit for more speed, getting her over 200, maybe 220 speed, would make her probably a bit more consistent. She does have Savage set, but she is beasting the damage. Really good combo with Razelvarg. Our boy Razelvarg, obviously we've already seen, but he is built like this with these masteries. Who else do we have in this team? We had obviously Rector Drath coming in. I really do think that what you'd want to be doing with her is building her in Reflex to have more consistent uptime on her Perfect Veil. Obviously the Impulse set. Impulse is like Reflex plus speed. That is perfect for Rector Drath. And then maybe a Resistance set is really nice on her. Get that bonus Resistance. But there you go. She is coming in with these sort of stats. The reason I have her not in Reflex is because she's got really good stats for me. So we built her HP really high, tons of defense, tons of speed, and tons of resistance and accuracy. So you could ditch these things if you wanted. It's sort of up to you. I do like her with good resistance. And then you could go and work out from my other videos how much accuracy you would need with the increased accuracy if you are relying on the decreased attack for the different levels of Hydra. I have her in these masteries, and I would definitely be running Miracle Heal on her. It's a pretty big deal. Who else do we need to look at? Ugo. Oh yeah, Ugo, very straightforward. And Physics, of course. So Ugo shows up in nearly every video. She's just so good for this, so flexible. But Ugo is coming in. Did I use Ugo or did I use Tugo? I might have used my second Ugo. No, I used this one. That's fine. So this Ugo, she is very quick at 263. She's in very good gear, actually. 263 speed. here's the thing. You can ditch the accuracy on a lot of these champs. Like Ugo, you can have her low accuracy with this team and get away with it. Build her speed and her HP higher. Have the accuracy just boosted up by Razelvarg. That is something cool that you can do that you couldn't otherwise do. She has these masteries. And yeah, then finally we had Vizix, who I think is in the vault, actually. Chilling. She is. Chilling in the vault. But Vizix, very budget gear, guys, because this is basically the gear I put her in when I got her. Back when I got her. She is in War Master with extending her debuffs. Kind of random, actually. She's got Kill Streak, which she really doesn't need, but that's what we're rocking with. You could possibly redo her. You could ditch Evil Eye. You could take Cycle of Magic and Lasting Gifts. That's something you could totally do. She's in a bunch of 5-star gear. It's my Vizix build from when I first got Vizix. She's coming in. She's tanky. She's got decent speed, decent accuracy. But again, with this, if you're struggling to keep her alive through the ally protection, like if you don't have Mithrala yet, you could build her HP higher. I'd still keep her speed high. So high speed, try to get her good defense, good HP. And then you could let Razelvarg's increase accuracy do the work for her accuracy. And you can use that as well in Doom Tower to great effect. Obviously, it means that for faction wars, your Vizix might struggle a little bit. But I mean, you could have her at 200 accuracy and let Razelvarg boost her to 300. And you're good for most of Doom Tower hard. You're good for most of Hydra. You know, it's a pretty nifty combo that you can put together. So, all of that being said, Razelvarg, what do I think? Is certainly interesting. Someone's put in reviews already. Oh, wow. People really, whoever did these reviews really doesn't like him. A 3 for Hydra, I definitely think is wrong. For me, this champion is definitely designed for Hydra. Yeah, for me, I will say he's not as good as Nekmothar. The utility that Nekmothar brings, just the amount of buffs and debuffs that Nekmo brings, for me, make Nekmo better. But Nekmo is hard to get. This champion is a fusion. This is one of the most accessible champions in the game if you are far enough in the game right now to get him. And I think he's quite unique with this increased speed, right? With how much speed he gets, he's putting out good damage. He's got a good aura. I don't think he's top tier for Hydra, but I think he's pretty darn good. He does more damage, a lot more damage than I expected through all of those turns, which is very powerful. Certainly the big question is, do you have a good decreased speed champion to pair with him? And as we saw here today, everyone has Vizix or can get Vizix. I think the two of them together are extremely potent. I think other ones that might be very good. Unfortunately, I don't have him, but I do think that Snicktrack could be a really good combo as well, who brings AoE decreased speed with a big shield for the team. He also brings ally protection, so very like Vizix. He also brings decreased attack, right? So he sort of fills in that gap, the decreased attack, ally protection, decreased speed gap that you don't have by missing out the Nekmo. But yeah, it's sort of, you got to figure out, you know, what decreased speed champs do I have to combo with, our boy here, our rabbit, to get the most effectiveness. I think Snicktrack is your go-to, but Vizix is insanely good. Maybe even arguably better. Vizix is arguably better. But yeah, there you go. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I might try him out in some Fire Knight. I'll let you know if I can build a Fire Knight team that works, but this video is kind of long enough. I really wanted to focus on Hydra, which is what I think he's genuinely designed for. And what would I be building on him, by the way, in terms of Blessing? I'd probably be putting him in Brimstone, most likely, is what I'd be running on your Razelvarg. Though he's also not a bad option for Cruelty, right? I think Brimstone, of course, gives you more health. It will give you more accuracy, and you can start putting out that smite debuff. So if you don't have anyone doing that, it's pretty good. And there is a cooldown, a 4-turn cooldown on Brimstone, because he takes so many turns, he's going to basically keep it up himself all the time. He's also pretty good, I'd say, in Cruelty, which is going to give him more damage with the attack, HP, and crit damage. And he'll stack up very quickly the decreased defense on bosses. That's a pretty good option. So you can sort of consider those options. The other stuff is kind of on him, I think. They're the ones I'd be looking at. But there you go, Razelvarg. Interesting showcase. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.